I just wanted to. I want to do like Clark on Saturday Night Live when Seth Meyers used to host the news. They used to do this segment called "Really,
Yeah.
Really" with Seth Meyers, and sometimes it was Seth Meyers and Amy Poehler or whatever it was. Really,
Yeah.
and they would just be like, "Really, you did this? Really?" And I think this is perfectly appropriate for Aaron Rodgers today because Aaron Rodgers came out and said, "You know what? I didn't tell them that they had to activate me. I was fine with going on IR. You know, it was totally cool. I never said, I didn't make them do that. Like, when a week before he said, you know what? I mean, it was kind of ridiculous to think I was going to be 100% healthy. And it's like, really? Really, Aaron Rodgers? So this whole comeback thing is honestly complete nonsense. You've been telling us the whole time for months, I'm coming back in December. Oh, no, I'm coming back. Absolutely, I'm coming back. Well, I mean, it was kind of unrealistic to think I was going to come back. Really? Like, and then oh, I didn't tell the Jets to do that. The Jets have literally done every single thing you've asked them to do. And you're like, well, I didn't tell them to do that. I had nothing to do with it. You take no responsibility for any of your nonsense. Okay. And then you sit back and act like, what do you mean? I don't understand. I didn't cause this problem. It's like, okay, yeah, you did when you lied about the vaccines. Like, it's just, he's totally blameless. No self-awareness at all. Okay. And it's just like, again, really, Aaron Rodgers? Really? You thought, oh, I'm fine. I don't need to take responsibility for anything or admit, when I was wrong or that I was making stuff up or just saying stuff just to get attention. I don't need to respond to any of that. Why are you guys all upset? I don't understand. So I'm tired of Aaron Rodgers with his nonsense. And Nick Wright did a fantastic job on First Things First. It was a hilarious segment where he just explains all of the things that Aaron Rodgers has been disingenuous about. You're disingenuous about your retirement status. You're disingenuous about your vaccination status. You're disingenuous about the team bringing in coaches and players just because you asked them to. You're disingenuous about your comeback, which you were disingenuous about the entire time. So that's all I got to say. That's all I want to say about that. Really, Aaron Rodgers, like, honestly, I'm tired. Your act is tired. I'm completely done with you. And this idea that this is just going to go, everything's going to go great now because he's going to play for the Jets next year. Good freaking luck. I cannot wait. That is going to be great comedy and great content for everybody. I cannot wait. So really, Aaron Rodgers, you're an idiot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I mean, I'm not surprised, because at this point we know who Aaron Rodgers is. We've got plenty of past history to look back on and go, yeah, this makes sense. This is totally within Aaron Rodgers' character. This is the kind of stuff he would do, just to deny that. I mean, I remember one time, when was this? He had won his second straight MVP, right? And so then during the offseason, he was doing a podcast with somebody, and I think he was talking about, I forget what they were all talking about on the podcast. They might have been talking about psychedelics or something. And he was like, yeah, no, I'm not surprised by this. I mean, I visualized this, I figured this would happen, because I could look ahead and see, what was going on. So I'm not surprised at all by having this level of success. And it just felt like just that. And then the podcast host was like, yeah, I'm the same way. I mean, I visualized everything. So everything I got right now, all my success, I mean, I saw this beforehand, so I knew this was coming. So this is not a surprise to me at all. And I'm just like, oh my God, you should rename the podcast to like the Hubris Podcast. I mean, good Lord. I mean, how full of yourself do you have to be? Like, oh no, I just expected this. I mean, that's just, it's really off-putting. It doesn't like, when you hear that, unless you're also someone who's like wildly successful, you hear that and it's just like, oh God, what a douchebag. Like you just you think that it's like, who talks like that? So yeah, I'm not surprised by it at all. It kind of, at this point, I'm not upset about it or anything, because it's just like, well, this is how this guy is. So I'm just, this is what we expect at this point, and he's kind of off on his own. And also it's, Colin Cowherd always brings up that, he's not married, he doesn't have any kids. And I think that's a valid point. I mean, when you're married, yeah, you got responsibilities and other stuff. When he's a single guy, he can do whatever the hell he wants. There's nobody holding him accountable. There's nobody like, hey, maybe you shouldn't do this. Maybe that's a bad idea. Maybe, you should be a little more genuine when you're talking to people. It's like, no, there's no one to hold him accountable. He can just go off and do whatever the hell he wants.
Well, I know
this is
women
America in 2023.
That's right. I know women will tell you if a dude's 40 years old and never been married, red flag. You know, I know I've heard that before. Well, I don't know whether it's accurate or not, but I know I've heard it before. Yeah,
Yeah,
I just the guy is just too much. But honestly, Clark, I was thinking the other day, like, well, how come Kyrie Irving has just not been talking about current events for like the past year? Like, what's going on there? And I really think it's because like Mark Cuban and the Mavericks are like, okay, you can talk basketball. Anything else? Press conference over. I really think they're just like, you know what? They're limiting what they let Kyrie Irving say because he just gets himself into trouble, and everybody and the team has to deal with it. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets are just like, yeah, go ahead, Aaron, talk as much as you want. It's just like this is not a good idea because how long until he steps in it, until he says something dumb about some group, and you know completely the Jets have to apologize for him. It's
yeah.
unbelievable.
That's a good point. I mean, that could literally happen at any point. I mean, whether it's during the rest of his career or when he's retired or whatever. I mean, you know that could easily happen. I wouldn't be surprised at all by that. At this point, I'm not sure. I mean, the Jets are just a desperate franchise. They are so freaking. It's kind of like the Browns, although the Browns seem to have kind of turned things around a little bit. But I mean, they still signed Deshaun Watson, so that's still hanging over him. But yeah, the Jets are just a desperate franchise, and this is what happens. You just basically go, all right, well, we need this, so we're just gonna tie ourselves to this guy, and he can just do whatever he wants. Just please don't leave us. Just
Yep.
just stay here. Just don't leave us. We won't try to upset you or anything, or make you more accountable, or tell you, hey, maybe don't do that, because we need you so bad.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so we'll move on from that, and so